Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're cracking open a set of internal sources, logs really, that reveal the true, let's call it the operational model behind a program calling itself the Fireball Academy.
Hmm.
If you're a professional detailer, you've definitely seen this course marketed. It's billed as this premium 3-day immersion, supposed to give you advanced technical skills, deep knowledge of coding chemistry, all that stuff.
And business management strategies, that's a big part of the pitch.
Exactly. So we got our hands on internal schedules and logs from inside the company, and our mission today is, well, it's pretty straightforward. We're comparing that marketing promise against what the clock hours actually show.
You want to know where the time goes.
We want to know how many of your precious minutes are actually spent on your education versus, well, how many hours are spent doing something else. We're really looking for the true return on investment here.
And when you put the brochure next to the time card, the core finding just jumps right out at you. This investigation, it suggests the academy is fundamentally less of a legitimate school and more of a highly efficient temporary labor force for the CEO's own private detailing shop.
So not a school, but a workforce.
Pretty much. The certification that you pay all this money for isn't even the main goal.
Yeah.
It just functions as a required key to open a door, a gateway that lets you then buy their premium products.
Wait, so you have to pay to work for them?
So you can then pay them again to buy their supplies.
Yeah. Wow. And here's the calculation that, it's just stunning for anyone looking to advance their trade. We broke down the standard 24-hour itinerary for this 3-day course.
Okay.
Do you know what percentage of that time is actually dedicated to education? And by that, I mean real classroom instruction, business talks, learning technique. Any guess?
I've seen the numbers, but for the listener,
Yeah.
it's shockingly low.
It is less than 15%.
15.
Less than 15. So just think about that. The huge, overwhelming majority of your time and your tuition money is spent working a full shift for somebody else's profit.
Which brings us right into our first deep dive. What we're calling the 3-day mirage. This is where the marketing promise it smashes right into the clock hour reality we found in these documents.
Right. They promised this 24-hour immersion into mastery. What did the activity logs actually show?
So the schedules, they consistently categorize most of those 24 hours under one phrase: live production.
Live production.
That phrase is so important. It tells you right away the focus isn't teaching, it's logistics. Trainees aren't being treated as students who need patience and, time to learn. They're treated as high-volume workers.
Just cogs in a machine needed to get work done.
Exactly. To fulfill existing shop contracts and meet deadlines. And to really get the scope of this, you just have to do the simple math. It doesn't look good for the students.
Okay, so let's break it down.
When we looked at the itineraries from the last couple of years, it was clear. The schedule is built to fill slots in a production line, not to help someone master a skill.
So let's start with the part people are paying for, the education.
Okay, classroom learning. That clocks in at only about 3 hours total.
3 hours out of 24.
Yep, that's just 12.5% of the entire course.
3 hours over 3 days. That's barely enough time for an orientation, let alone advanced chemistry and business strategy.
You're right. A serious professional program would spend that much time just on, say, the physics of how a polisher works.
But they're claiming to cover the entire business, chemistry, everything in the time it takes to watch a long movie.
Precisely. And that 3 hours has to cover it all. A quick corporate presentation, they flip through a handbook, and then a really rushed business talk. There's no time for real questions or any technical depth.
Okay, so what if you're excited to see the instructors actually demonstrate the techniques you're there to learn? How much time for that?
Even less. The time for watching demonstrations is just 1 hour. Total.
1 hour.
1 hour. That's about 4.2% of the course. And that's specifically to watch instructors demonstrate their own method of product application. The X method, which we found, has some serious problems.
You mentioned the X method. Why is that flagged as flawed? For the pros listening, what's the issue?
Well, what's fascinating is that the sources show this heavy-handed technique is used in the demo, but it actually goes against industry best practices for getting a uniform coating.
So it's not the right way to do it.
It's a risky way to do it. Using that harsh, fast method, especially when you're being rushed in a live production environment, can lead to huge flaws. Things like streaking, high spots, or even the coating failing down the road.
And that would be on the detailer to warrant that work.
Absolutely. So you're learning a technique that basically sets you up for failure after watching it for only an hour. It's a huge liability.
And this is where it gets really interesting because there's another activity in the schedule that isn't learning and it isn't labor.
Yeah.
It's pure marketing.
Ah, yes, the dedicated media time. About 2 hours, or 8.3% of your course fee, is just for interruptions for corporate marketing.
So they stop everything.
They stop the work, which, remember, the trainees are already being rushed to do. So they can film marketing clips for Fireball's media team, Ember Studios.
You're kidding.
Nope. We have reports that staff were demanding retakes, telling people where to stand, all to get the best camera angles for their YouTube channel or social media. You are literally paying to be an extra in their ad.
Okay, let's add that up. 3 hours of rushed classroom time, 1 hour watching a questionable technique, and 2 hours as a free actor.
Right.
We're at 6 hours. A quarter of the total time where the activity might, and I say might, be related to education or their own media production.
Which leaves the other 18 hours.
Yep.
3 full 8-hour work shifts.
And that's all just labor.
Pure labor.
Yeah.
And that imbalance brings us right into our second section, the unpaid labor trap and the double dip profit model.
So those 18 hours, what are the trainees doing?
The documents confirm they spend 18 hours, a staggering 75% of their time, doing hard professional labor. They're washing cars, polishing, paint correcting, applying ceramic coatings.
And this isn't on junk panels or test cars, right? Which would be normal for a training.
Not at all. This isn't practice. This is a full-time, high-volume work week that you, the student, paid thousands of dollars to perform.
So who's getting the benefit of all this free, intensive professional labor?
The sources are very clear. These cars belong to paying clients of a separate business called Auto Appearance.
And auto appearances.
This is the critical part. Auto Appearance isn't just some shop next door. Internal documents show it is wholly owned by the CEO of Fireball USA.
So the CEO is not just your instructor, he's also your direct competitor running his own detailing business in the same building.
Using your tuition money to fund his operating costs.
This setup creates what you called a double dip financial strategy. Let's break that down because this is where the exploitation just becomes so clear.
It really is. It's like buying a ticket to a masterclass on gardening, but when you show up, the instructor hands you a shovel and you spend the next 3 days digging up his lawn for free.
While he charges his neighbor a landscaping fee for the work you just did.
That's the perfect analogy. So, revenue stream number 1, tuition revenue. You, the professional detailer, pay thousands just to get in the door.
Okay, that's the first dip.
And at the exact same time, the CEO's separate shop collects revenue stream number 2, service revenue. Auto Appearance bills the car's owner for the full detailing job you just did.
And these are not cheap jobs.
No, we're talking high-value work. A standard paint correction and a pro-grade coating, like the Docto coating they mentioned, can cost a customer anywhere from $2,500 to $4,500.
So just to be crystal clear, the CEO gets thousands from the student paying for the class, and then he gets thousands more from the car owner for the work that student did for free.
It is the ultimate business hack for his shop.
It sounds like a dream scenario.
For him, it is. This model completely eliminates the single biggest cost of running a high-volume detailing shop, labor. He doesn't have to pay professional detailers to do the work. He has a rotating, self-funded, zero-cost labor force, the very people who came there for an education. You are paying for the privilege of working for your competitor's profit margin.
The financial model is clearly built for the CEO's other business. But what does that do to the quality of the instruction, to the student's ability to actually master a skill?
That's the core problem. And that's what we need to get into with the education gap and rush deadlines.
Right, because if you're paying for skill mastery, that takes time.
It takes slow, deliberate, supervised practice. You need time to build muscle memory, to see your mistakes, to learn how to fix them. But that entire process is it's incompatible with a hard deadline to get a customer's $4,000 car out the door.
So there's a huge conflict of priorities.
It's the central conflict of the whole operation. The priority shifts from the student's learning curve to the CEO's customers' delivery times. They're running a production schedule, not a teaching schedule. The profit for Auto Appearance depends on moving cars.
And what are the consequences of that rush?
The consequences are severe. We have confirmation from a former technical lead that trainees are constantly rushed.
And what happens if a student slows down? To actually try and master a technique like a tricky polishing step.
They get in trouble. Think about that. You, the paying student, get penalized for trying to achieve the very thing you paid for.
You get in trouble for trying to learn. That says everything about where the loyalty is. What kind of instructions are they given when they do slow down?
The instructors are explicitly told to prioritize the CEO's profit. The direction given to trainees is to keep up the pace of a pro shop.
But they're not pros yet. That's why they're there.
Of course. But it fundamentally sacrifices the learning experience for production needs. If you're rushing to hit a quota, you can't focus on the subtleties of paint correction or the correct flash time for a coating. The whole thing is geared towards speed, not competence.
And the risk of that rushed work. I mean, we're talking about burning through paint, leaving swirl marks, causing serious warranty issues down the line.
That's the paradox, isn't it? The professional is paying to learn how to produce quality, warranted results. But the course forces them into high-speed, high-risk work. It maximizes the chance of failure while minimizing the opportunity to learn.
So you pay for an education, you get production demands, you pay to master a skill, and you get told to hurry up so the CEO can collect his fee. It really all comes together here.
It does. Our investigation, what it really boils down to is that the Fireball Academy is fundamentally a staffing solution disguised as a school. It's optimized, for one thing, maximizing the profit and killing the labor costs of the CEO's separate business.
Let's just summarize the whole thing one last time. Professional detailers are paying thousands of dollars for what is essentially a 3-day full-time work week. 18 hours of unpaid labor that directly benefits a competitor.
It's a deceptive and, frankly, exploitative model. It preys on the desire for certification and product access, and then it leverages that by using hardworking detailers as a disposable, zero-cost, revenue-generating workforce. Your tuition is being used to undercut your own business.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, for the listener. When you're evaluating any kind of professional certification or required training in the future, how can you spot the difference between a real investment in your skills and a system that's just designed for corporate profit?
You have to ask two basic questions.
What are they?
Who is performing the intensive labor? And who is collecting the money generated by that labor? If the answer to those two questions is different, if there's an owner separating the worker from the revenue, you might not just be paying to learn. You might be paying to work for your own competition and giving them the ultimate unfair advantage.